Hi, YouTube. So I wanted to go ahead and make these videos. Y'all have to excuse my eye. My cat, like, what is it called? He she scratched me. Okay, so there was a few points that I wanted to touch on, and I believe it's super important because it is a huge issue in America today. And we've got so much focus on money, 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 money. And reality is, like, if you look at the news and the rap industry and everywhere else, you've got people going to jail. You've got people going to jail for stuff they probably didn't even do due to initiations of getting into the industry. And so, with that being said, like, these are young men, and most of them are targeted in low income areas. And so, they are lured into situations. And the horrific part of it is the fact that they're being demasculized by another man. And so, number one, these people in position doing these initiations, I'm sorry, but I would have to question your manhood if you feel it makes you a man or it makes you powerful to rape a young child or to rape a younger male. And then on top of that, the spirituality that they're tapping into are things that some people are not prepared to handle. And so it is causing issues. And nobody wants to be forced to be a part of a certain religion, and that's very understandable because religion is man-made anyway, and it's more about your spirituality and just understanding what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And so, there's just so much going on in the world today, right now, and stuff like that being hidden. So your children are out here being targeted when you're in low income areas or when they're in CPS custody or when they're in these group homes and different stuff like that. They're taking vulnerable children and using that situation to pretty much waste their lives. So you've got kids out here, Young Thug. I don't know how old that dude is. And I honestly don't even know what his charges are about. But I do know as soon as I started reading the videos, I was just like, what's really sad is you're going to try to throw this man's whole life away. And this is happening with young adults, young kids, and they're getting put into these, what is it called, juvenile centers, and they're being thrown in prison. And you like one wrong mistake and a life sentence in prison. I'm sorry, but history shows us that this is not a good resolution to a problem. This has become a generational curse. Generations and generations of young men and women alike going into prison and being torn away from their families, their children. So then their children are out here. They're subjected to, again, being in a vulnerable situation and then having the same fate. There is a lot that can be done about that. And there is a ton of ideas and programs that can be initiated that not only would make it a more feasible situation, but also to actually regroup these people so we could actually introduce them to things that they may have not ever been introduced to in their entire life, because their entire life has been about you being used for this little gang or that little gang or to break a crime, break a law or whatever. And so, those are the issues that we need to be focused on. Again, the other day I was on the bus and somebody mentioned something about racism. And I believe that, yes, racism is a huge issue. Huge. It is ridiculously huge. There's so much focus on, interracial relationships. There's focus on people having biracial kids. There's focus on, and those are all really petty issues when you look at the whole root of the problem. So the root of the problem is what got these children or these people into these, dysfunctional situations, if you want to call it that, or this dysfunctional mindset, because they've been in a situation where they've been talked down, judged, profiled, and treated crappy because of their skin color. That is ridiculous. Like, nobody's skin color ever determined their mindset. And when we can get to a point where we're looking at the whole situation, like we're looking at human humans and not just like black people, white people, Mexican people. Like none of that even matters at the end of the day, because what's really going on is they're trying to eliminate and get rid of everybody with the low income, because all this focus is on money. And I'm sorry, but there's too many people in position with a ton of money that's actually victimizing your kids, all for the sake of money. So our focus needs to be on what really is going on, what really is happening. So yes, there's a generational curse of racism. Yes, there's a generational curse of one race putting down the next. And it is really mind-blowing, and it is disturbing with the petty things that's going on. And I'm sorry, but you have kids in a lower income area that's dysfunctional, or they yell at people, or they jump on cars, or they're doing this. But I'm sorry, but where are the things that's happened that got them to this mindset? Because honey, when they was a baby, they didn't have the mindset of going to rob somebody. None of that was going on when they were first born. Those things were learned behaviors. Those things are reactions to being shitted on for years and years and years. Those things are reactions to people destroying families, ripping families apart, and taking fathers out of houses for one mistake. Because of a drug deal, you got a life sentence. Because of a gun possession, you have a life sentence. None of that is helping our society. And when we understand that it's about a human race and we all need to get the same mindset and start doing something about this, that's when things are going to change. I almost threw my phone the other day when I was looking at TikTok, and there was a white lady on that. And she said, if these Black people were getting abortions, there would be one on every corner. What? That lady should be penalized and charged and fined for even making a comment like that. That is ridiculous. That is a dumb comment. That doesn't make sense. Why are you even saying stuff like that? You're mad because you refuse to have any kids, or maybe you only want one or two, and then somebody else is out here, maybe having more than one. Maybe they have a large family. Because in some cultures, it matters. In some cultures, they want to extend their legacy. They want to continue with generations of family. They like big family reunions and stuff. Start respecting other people's cultures. Start understanding that not everybody thinks the same. Not everybody's Christian. Not everybody's Muslim. Not everybody's Wiccan. But the one thing we can agree on is there is a higher power. And there's a spirituality about things. There's a way for you to become one within yourself. There's a way for you to have forgiveness in your heart for the things that's been done against you. Not because you're over here releasing these people from being, held accountable, but just because you're not going to continue the generational curse that's caused by harboring negative emotions. You're not going to sit there and pollute your body with negativity and break your body down and end up with things like cancers and diabetes. Children are being born with different illnesses and different disabilities. How do we know that some of that stuff is not being done? Because of the negative emotions being harbored, of the dysfunctional relationships. And all of this is due to mindsets. This has nothing to do with the color of anyone's skin. If you went through the entire world today and made everybody a certain color, then what would be your excuse then? Like, there's some serious issues going on in the world right now. And I'm understanding it's so shitty to be dumped on and stereotypes and to be stuck in situations where it's fight or flight. Like, that's a horrible life to live. And it does come to the point where you're like, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody's gone. Like, I don't care. I have to eat. My kids got to eat. I get that. It does put you in that mindset. That's called survival. And what's really, really sad is most of America right now is literally in survival mode. It's like beast mode out here. It is the most horrifying thing to ever experience, and it's not okay. And I understand that everybody thinks, oh, everything just doesn't get fixed. No, you're right. It's a process. But the process starts with the mindset. The process starts with understanding that just because you're white doesn't give you some kind of ticket to be a jerk. Just because your culture doesn't think like the next one, you don't sit there and put them down for it. And in some cases, let's not even go there because there's so much insight that we can put on that. But reality is, just turn on what's going on in the music industry. It's very eye-opening. This is a spiritual battle. And when we can understand that, we can understand that it's really not about race. It's not about your skin color. It's not about how much money you have. It's about a mindset. And when people can start respecting each other for what they have to offer and understand, there's videos out there talking about, oh, a 9-to-5 is this, a 9-to-5 is that. That same person gets off YouTube and turns around and goes and orders from Uber Eats. If people didn't have jobs, who do you think would serve you at the restaurant? All those clothes you buy at the mall, if people didn't have jobs, would you be able to go shopping anymore? What about the car you drive? If somebody's job wasn't to sell cars, this is all about working together and everything going together because everybody needs a job. Everybody needs an income. Let's put it like that. And people should have a right to, obtain a way to get the income. There's just so much going on right now that it's just very mind blowing. Nobody should be worried about if someone's homosexual or not. I just saw a YouTube video the other day about transvestites and a woman saying, you can never be me and you can do this and you can't do that. This is spiritual warfare. But you're involving yourself in the spiritual warfare when you start arguing and comparing yourself to a transvestite. Let's start understanding what got them there. Let's start understanding when that little boy or little girl acts out, they're not a troubled kid. Let's talk about what got them there. That's what's important. And when we start looking at it like that, maybe then we can start saving some kids' lives. Maybe then we can start bringing some families together. People are out here having kids. And yes, women are out here having kids thinking that you're going to trap a man by having a baby. No baby is going to keep a man with you. That is not the proper dynamics of a relationship. But I also fault the government for the subliminal messages that they put out there. I almost wrecked my car one day looking at a sign over the freeway that said, have a baby, get WIC. The fuck? You're literally unconsciously picking up the wrong message. There's a shortage in formula. If a woman were to experience what it's like to nurse their child, number one, you wouldn't have kids close together because it's a natural child. What is it called? Birth control. Number two, it's a whole different bonding process. But instead, your government and the hospitals are designed with a process that takes the mother and child apart from each other. You interrupt the bonding process. That is an important time for a mother and a child and a father to come together and to bond. And too many times, these young girls are having kids. They're not being counseled correctly. They're not being guided correctly. It starts off on a bad foot. There's agencies out here that are loading in all kinds of money, and they're out there with these, like, missions to get women off the streets or to get this or to get that. But are they really doing everything that it takes? Just because you showed up one time and bring them somewhere and then put them in a little program didn't help anything. There's so much more that needs to be done. And it's not going to be about sitting in a room talking to a counselor. There's other therapies that are really important. There's other therapies that can be used. Acknowledging the strike that they've gone through and maybe getting them to a process to slowly introduce them to things that they've never been introduced to before that would help them thrive in a different way. Just because you put a single mom on housing doesn't mean she's going to succeed. There's still so much more to involve yourself in. There's still so much more to teach her. There's still so much more that can be done. If someone's coming out of a domestic violence situation and they have young kids, those kids are also affected by the domestic violence. That's a lot of dynamics to be dealing with a single mom. And there's countless programs out there that are getting paid buku money to just put them in an apartment somewhere. What did you solve? In some cases, nothing. They need support. They need to know someone's concerned. They need to have some kind of guide, some kind of direction. Not to be asked, what do you need? If she knew what she needed, she probably wouldn't have been in the situation in the first place. Women need to boss up a little bit. Quit letting these men talk to you so many times. This is the deal that I go through that I've literally like experienced myself. It's like guys talk, they go out, and then they want to have sex. Okay. What? Or it's let me look at your body. But I have to fault women because so many women are like, okay. I mean, I used to be the same way when I was younger because I didn't know any better. But I'm seeing over and over again how that's really an issue. There's so many people in America right now that have no idea how to get to know a next person. They have no idea what it's like to actually get acquainted with the person. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know how to lead the conversation. If you ask too many questions, we have a society today, don't tell your business, don't tell no one, don't tell. And then they throw spirituality or Christianity on it. These people are going to put negative stuff on your stuff. Like, no, quit telling people stuff like that. That is a silencing tactic. And the only thing that needs to be silenced 9 times out of 10 is abuse. You don't have to stay silent. You don't have to be quiet when somebody's disrespecting you. You don't have to take crap. It's just like I remember telling my kids when they were younger, like, even if I do something to offend you, tell me or tell somebody. Because it's not okay. I'm your mama. It's still not okay. I don't care who it is. If it offends you, if it hurts you, if it scares you, it's not okay. That is the kind of stuff that really needs to be like spread around. That is the kind of stuff that needs to be heard by more people. When these girls are coming out of this industry and they're so used to just being taken advantage of like that, it's a whole process to learn how to interact with another person again. Because it's a different mindset when it comes to being in a survival mode and it comes to being in, the mode of like, give me this for that. Like, what is a real dating experience after that? And too many times we have men that will sit there and play on that. There's a way to get acquainted with people. There's a way to get to know someone, and it doesn't involve having sex. That's literally the icing on the cake. When you're actually really connected with the person and you're really in love with the person, sex can be so amazing. When you're passing it out like Halloween candy, that's exactly what it is, a handshake. It's not healthy, not spiritually, not otherwise. There's so much that takes place in the exchange of having sex with another person. Like, all of this is like an endless cycle of nonsense. Things have to change. If we sit here and focus on race and we're steadily trying to take each other out and we're steadily trying to do all this stuff, what do you think is going to go on? Eventually, everybody's going to be gone. I always imagine like somebody up there on Saturn or something, like initiating a bunch of like drama and just watching everybody take each other out so they could take over the earth. Like, it's almost like a sci-fi idea, but it's literally almost how it looks, because you got the TV and you got all these songs and you got this and white bitch this and nigga this and nigga that, like whatever. Bro, everybody's human. It does not matter what color your skin is. It does not make you less of a person because your skin is darker than this one. And far too often, I'm sorry, but it's more Caucasian people that spread that type of energy around. There was just a whole news coverage on somebody dropping Nazi pamphlets about white people in a neighborhood. I'm sorry, but I would be completely offended if my kid ever got a hold of that. I would never want my kid to have that kind of mindset. That is hate crimes. And then they sat there and said that they can't do anything about it because it's freedom of speech. That is hate. You have hate crimes. You're spreading hate. Just like if they would have got out the car and cussed somebody out and called them a white bitch or something, or black, whatever, I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's still hate. And if you can arrest somebody for threatening to choke somebody out, then why can't you arrest somebody for spreading pamphlets about white supremacy? What is that? That's a threat. It's alarming. It's shocking. It's not really shocking as much, but what's really sad is how many generations has this gone on and on and on and on and on. It's just like a generational curse of young men going to jail. How have we solved the problem? By focusing on it. More people need to start standing up and start talking about a mindset. It's just like a guy on that same news coverage said, say, we don't do that shit around here. And I applaud him for that, because that's good. You shouldn't. And what we need to be focused on is helping people. White people got such a problem with the way black people live. Start pouring into them and demonstrating something different. You steadily throwing slander at them. Why are you not lending a hand? Why are you not showing a better way, since you think you know so much? I mean, seriously. That's the only thing I know how to do as a person, is I'm going to speak on some real shit. I'm going to tell you how it really is. But if you know so much and you're so, what is it called? Higher up, or I don't know, whatever their mindset is, then start demonstrating that. Because as it stands right now, it's not being demonstrated. You got your nose in the air. You benefit off of everything they do. And then turn around and put them down and keep the curse going. Why? Because you're making money off of it. And I really don't care who likes it. I'm going to say what I have to say. These things need to change. I just sat on the bus the other day and had this whole conversation with people. Like, it's really not about religion. It's really not about race. And if people really knew what they were doing when they were calling on these deities and all this kind of stuff, do your real research. In some cases, those deities were put in a certain position because it was already unleashed and it was not a good result. There's a reason why certain religious documents and religious, maybe heirlooms and things like that, there's a reason why they're locked up and away from the public. And you get one book and you get this much information and you turn around and think you found a whole nother religion, or now we're gods, or whatever the case may be, but you don't know all of it. Just like the Bible is misinterpreted, so is a lot of other books. There were spiritual battles many years ago that got these deities in certain situations for a reason. And now you unleash them and they're over there feeding off of what? Having sex with little kids? Demasculizing men? Raping women? That is a spiritual warfare to take out the human race. Not the black race, not the white race, not Hispanic, not Latino, not Asian, the human race. When those deities and spirits are searching for a vessel, like you read in the Bible, it searches here and fro and there and did. Do you think it matters what color your skin is? They don't care. And if we're going to stand up and we're going to fight against those things, we also need to not care. Because it's going to take people together, understanding each other and respecting each other's cultures, ideas, and opinions. You cannot force your religion, your idea, your opinion on a whole other person. You can put it out there, but it shouldn't be a battle. I don't think Mohammed, Jesus, or anybody put anywhere in there that it's supposed to be a battle. I understand that there was different people, there was different regions, there was different beliefs. I understand they clash at times. Cool. But that's why there's certain laws in place, because people started all coming together. So then there's these laws of how we can't violate people. We can't cross their boundaries. We can't threaten people. We don't inflict violence on people. You don't play mind games with people. And you most definitely don't go play with somebody's kids. There's a lot that can be done to correct the entire situation. And you're not doing it just to kiss a white person's ass or a black person's ass. You're doing it for your children. You're doing it so your children will have a better future. You're doing it so your children can thrive. You're doing it so your children don't suffer anymore. That's why Martin Luther King was around, Rosa Parks. You think they made those steps because they were kissing somebody's ass or because they were bucking the system? They did it very subtle. They did it with restraint. They did it with respect. But they also didn't get disrespected. And they didn't have to go upside nobody's head. And they didn't have to cuss nobody out. And they didn't have to burn up a bus. And they didn't have to shoot a police officer. Rosa Parks got on the bus, sat where she wanted to sit, and refused to move. Period, point blank. I'm a person. Martin Luther King talked about mankind, humankind. He talked about how ridiculous and petty this type of stuff was. How crazy it looks to demean another person because of the color of their skin. And as I mentioned, and I'll say it over and over again, if you're white and you think so much that you know so much and you think you're so much better, then start teaching other people better. You don't put them down. Everybody's guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I'll go off on somebody and I can say some really hurtful things, like ridiculously hurtful, actually. But the thing is, I'm not better than anybody. I've walked through so many things in life. I've struggled. I've fought. I've been a single mom. I've got many baby daddies. Like all these different things that people can say about me. I really don't care. Because actually, if we just pulled over the curtain on them, it probably would be even just as bad, if not worse. I'm not concerned about what you think. What I'm concerned about is my spirituality and how I actually treat other people. I don't give love out because I want you to give it in return. I give love out because I get it from God and I'm going to pass it on because that's my duty as a person. That's my duty and my spirituality. It's just to not to be shitty to people. And I try very hard. But maybe more people need to start looking at it. You see someone not taking care of their kids right? Maybe ask them what you can do to help. You a single mom out there and she's struggling and she may be doing some distasteful things to take care of her kids. Why don't you put a bag of groceries on her front porch? Randomly, anonymously. Start making jobs easier. You wouldn't have so much crime. And maybe not so much drug dealers. Officer Thornton, he's somebody on TikTok. Awesome cop, as far as I can tell. I don't know the man. But all of his videos are cool. But the one thing he said, the people that you'll find with the biggest hearts and the most ambition and the most desire to change things are going to be people that's walked the walk, like literally been through hell. And that involved committing crimes, hustling, having shit done to them, failed relationships, drug addictions, all kinds of stuff they've been through. Those are the best people to employ in places that are supposed to be rehabilitating our youth. You don't rehabilitate somebody by locking them in a cage. And I don't care if they're 10 or 20 or 50. There's nothing rehabilitating about that. These prisons are making so much money. Why aren't they teaching these guys something? A lot of times, especially when they're young, they haven't been introduced to anything like much productive. And even when they have, they've been influenced more so by something bad. So they need one person that they look up to come in and start showing them something different. But instead, we got them locked in a cage. The federal prisons do jobs and stuff. The sad part is it's slavery. You're going to pay me $1 an hour? Why are you not paying me typical minimum wage? Why am I not allowed to experience, if you're going to be a program, then be a program. You don't take advantage of people because they're in a vulnerable situation. Spread knowledge, spread experience. Allow them to experience something like they're going to experience out here. And whenever they come out here, you deny them an apartment, you deny them jobs, you tell them, like, it's been many years since I had like anything on my record. I went through HE double toothpicks like hell, trying to get through after doing a job, training, and trying to obtain a license from it. Because they went through my whole criminal record. My last charge was in 2011. Like, why am I having stuff pulled out from 2001? And technically, they're not supposed to go more than 10 years back. But they actually put me through the ringer and denied me a license at some point. Like, they wanted letters of each thing, wanted me to go to every single courthouse, like all this red tape for some charges that shouldn't even be thought of right now. And they were misdemeanors. They weren't even serious charges. You got these guys with like stupid little charges on their record. Okay, they broke into a house, they broke into a car, they sold some drugs. They was young, they was misguided, they went to hell. They get out, they got this mindset like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna do this. Denied, 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 denied. What do you think that's gonna do? Fuck it. I ain't changing. You're discouraging people. You're putting through, like, and the same thing with these girls that are coming out the industry. They may have multiple prostitution charges on their record. At some point, they become felonies. And then they try to go and, naturally they're a caretaker. Naturally, they're good at taking care of people, obviously. They go and try to get jobs pertaining to the same thing as far as taking care of people, just not in the same way, and get denied. Nobody respects people transforming, but people are making millions of dollars talking about they're transforming people. No, you're not. You're discouraging them. You're creating a beast. And don't let them have kids to take care of. That makes the situation even worse. Things need to change. Agencies need to change. Companies need to change. We need more companies out here offering jobs. You want to be a Rescue Houston? You want to be all these different places? Why aren't you contracting with these companies to help these women get jobs or job training? You're pulling them off the street, sticking them in a home, and passing them around to people in your church. But are they really rehabilitated? Are they really learning anything? Or are they being treated like a charity case? And sometimes they're denied help at all because of their age. That's crazy. There's ways to be out here networking, taking care of things. Let's make it happen. But you're too busy trying to cross somebody out because you're scared of their potential. You're too busy to actually make an agency that's operating and right. There's too much going on out here with the scamming government and getting money and getting money. There's certain ministries teenagers need to be in and teenagers don't need to be in. If you knew some of the things and practices that were being practiced out here on these streets, you would not have a young teenager that was spiritually ignorant out there. I'm just saying. Are you part of it? Or are you fighting against it? If the shoe fits, wear it. I don't care who's offended by anything I say because I don't feel I'm being really rude. I think I'm just being honest. Girls get together. Let's take each other out on dates. Let's learn how to get to know each other instead of competing with each other. Why are women trying to take another woman out? Because you're competing to have a baby or a guy. You're then looking desperate and thirsty. And then you wonder why he's going and cheating on you. Do you think that that's not a distasteful look for him? There's a whole lot that can be done that could circulate so much money. But people are so focused on my pockets are fat. Well, that's good. What are you doing with it? Putting other people down because they don't have as much money as you? Whoa. Okay. Well, you're so productive. Thank you, though. I mean, it's just, it's on and on and on. It's so continuous. It's so crazy. People are out here doing spiritual practices on people for competition. You're opening portals. You're calling on deities. What do you think is going to happen when you send them on a blank trip? You think they ain't going to come back? We were just discussing on the bus the other day about these guys trying to get down into this water and they're trying to go get these jewels and this gold. Do you understand that there's certain things hidden and there's certain things buried that have spiritual protection on it, why do you think people get scared to go over there? Because they done seen some stuff that they wasn't ready to see. They done experienced some stuff afterwards that they was not ready to experience. Could being so focused on gold and silver and this, when we can literally generate it just by changing our society and our mindset. There could be so much money generated and so many things going on, and it would benefit everybody. I can think of so many different programs and so many different ideas that can start just generating stuff for neighborhoods to keep these investors from coming in and tearing up everything. Like, you're going to just destroy families and just take all their land because they couldn't afford the taxes after you moved in or after you took possession of it. Now the families are working 12 hours a day. Who do you think's keeping their kids? And then you wonder why we have misguided youths. You'll be hearing more from me. That's just a lot. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that can change. And I mean, I myself have come from a lot of shit. I've made mistakes as a mother. If there was anything I could say to my kids right now, that I'm not really typically around a whole lot, and there is a lot going on with my family, and I have experienced a lot of negativity from people, and it's been really hard. If there's one thing I can say, no matter what anyone's told my kids, I literally went through years and years and years of doing family plans, counseling, courthouses, this and that, and didn't get my kids. It's hurtful. I miss them. And what's worse, I often wonder what they're being told. Do they think I don't care? Because my whole existence and everything I did for many years was all focused on getting them back. And no matter what the results of that is, the one thing that I would always want them to know is, yeah, I love you. And yeah, I fought for you. I've been fighting for you. And whenever all of that just blew up in my face, I prayed for you. What else do you do? Because we're living in a society that does not value family. We're living in a society of jealous people that would rather destroy a family instead of helping keep it together. That's hard. It needs to change, because destroying those bonds and ripping kids and moms and dads and all this stuff apart doesn't do anything but cause problem and trauma in the brain of the child, which is the most important. So there's many years of repair and many years of all this stuff, and 9 times out of 10, the counseling people out here is not going to do anything but put them on medication. That is not therapy. That is not the proper way to handle it. It sucks that we live in a shitty world, and it sucks that there's shitty people. But don't let it change who you are, and don't let it change what you want to see. It hurts when you don't get what you want. It hurts when your life is affected by bullshit. But don't fight against it with more bullshit. Let's start fighting against it by putting a foot forward to seeing what we want to see. You don't like the world the way it is? Let's start changing it. Let's start coming together. Quit beating someone down because you're scared of their potential. There's room for everyone, I promise you. There's so much work out here to be done. There's so many businesses to be operating. There is so much that can be done to get these women off the streets, to get kids off the streets. We can start giving them jobs at McDonald's. Why is a single mom working 12 hours at McDonald's? Kids should be able to get jobs at what, like 12 or 13? That's when they're getting targeted by the local drug dealer and shit. Like, come on. You can let them be in the streets all night long at 12 or 13, but you can't be at a job at past 10 o'clock or something weird like that. I understand managers don't want to babysit kids, but damn, you're babysitting most adults anyway, because they're 20 years old and they haven't developed properly. And now they're acting like they're 12 at 20. And you don't mind babysitting that? But you have an issue of pouring into a youth to better their life later, to start breaking some generational curses, to start changing the way society plays out. Yes, there's child labor laws. Yes, there's ways around it. There's petitions. We change any other law. We're worried about abortion. We're worried about this. We're worried about that. But you're not worried about bettering nothing? It's like I said, I got freaking heated for this white lady. I'm sorry, but you're representing me when you do shit like that. You on TikTok with your racist mindset, I get offended. Because I'll be damned if I go out here and have to get treated like shit because of your fucked up mindset. That is not okay. You do not talk to people like that. And you don't throw out accusations like that. There's a way to make change. And it's never going to start with putting people down. There's a way to address issues. I've had to learn the same thing. Sometimes I come across like, huh, okay. But there's always a way to present something. There's always a way to talk to somebody respectfully, even if they're not talking to you right, even if they're not treating you right. There's always a way to step back and be, excuse me, hold up, wait. I'm a human being, and you are being out of line, period. That needs to change. Oh, we need to talk to your supervisor. Start reporting people. Start initializing, like people get in prison and they know the chain of command. Use that shit out here. That's how you fight back. Pen and paper. Speaking your mind. Changing your mindset. Getting some real results. We're not going to get anywhere by going out here, shooting police, jumping on cars, robbing people. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. And that goes for anybody. That's literally a mindset we've got going on out here with many different races. But it's not going to get us anywhere. Do you know how many times on KHOU 11 in the last several months, this teenager got shot, that teenager got shot? Is that what we want happening to our kids? I understand with some people, I don't know, like, you have all this attitude about, oh, they shouldn't have been doing this. You're right. But what led to that? Let's get down to the core issue. Let's get down to the fact that kids are not cherished. Single moms are out here with the truckload of stuff on their mind and their shoulders and everything else. It's a lot. And instead of sitting there pouring into that situation or even trying to help out, we'd rather put them down. Talk about how they shouldn't have had a kid. Really? Okay. Well, that's a solution. But the kid's here, so now what? We're just going to penalize the child now because of a mistake the mom made? Or a mistake somebody else made? Or how do we know the government didn't separate the family by throwing the father in prison? There's like stuff in the Bible about forgiveness, about this, about the way it's written. You're right. It does not look good at all. And there is a lot of different codes and different things. Like, it's not like you're worshiping the Bible. Like, this is the word of truth. That is an interpreted book. I am not taking away from no religion. I'm not doing it. But at the same time, you're supposed to be praising the creator of the universe, God Almighty, Allah, Yahweh. There's many names. Spiritual enlightenment comes when you're balanced and when you're understanding that things are guides. And this is how we live. That's what Jesus taught us. That's what Muhammad taught us. Buddhists taught us. Like all of those books are all of those good thoughts and all of those things. But just the other day, I saw a YouTube channel that was talking about certain scriptures in the Bible, talking about turn the other cheek and stuff. And she's right. That's like curses. And literally, that's like that silence the abuse kind of thing. You don't tell your business. You don't talk about what goes on in your house. Why? Most of the time that I've heard that throughout my life, there was abuse going on in the house. So, like, what's the issue? Why? Like, why is a kid being taught to be silenced? Why is a kid not allowed to express the events or the different things? They should be excited to talk about what their family did together. There's people out here angry and lashing out and doing certain things because they've had their family taken from them, because they've experienced these hardships, because they've had relationships fell on them and they became angry and they become resentful and they start lashing out and reacting, and that affects other people in society. Those are all chain reactions. These are all generational curses. Why are we throwing young men into a prison, into a box, and call it rehabilitating them? There's so much more that can be done. I'm sorry, there's jobs that can be generated. They can be done from right there. If you didn't have people treating them like animals, you wouldn't have to have such high security. I understand that there's people out there that have done horrific things and they need to be in high security. But why is someone getting a drug charge and getting thrown into the same prison with these people and getting raped and brutalized and all this other stuff and coming out with identity crisis and have their manhood stripped from them? The hell? That's not rehabilitation. You don't inflict abuse on somebody to teach them. That is not the way to teach people. I would just love to see a whole lot of different stuff going on in the world. And I've been silent for a really long time, and I've been dealing with a lot of negative shit for a while. And it was the worst. And I do understand that most people that would do that would actually come out like a whole fucking monster. Thank God that I pray. You guys have a great night, and I hope that it helps somebody.